Yes, I think this is a very, very positive sign. These two judges could have, like judges before, many of the judges before them on the High Court, dismissed the arguments and they could have said, we accept the U.S. assurances. They're acting in good faith. That's what the High Court has said in the past. The difference here, though, is that these two judges didn't just accept those so-called assurances by the U.S. government at face value, the way their brethren did before. They gave Julian Assange an opportunity to answer that question and set this hearing. Now, I do want to say that the U.S. Supreme Court on this issue of whether or not a foreign national can raise a First Amendment issue in his trial, the U.S. Supreme Court ruled in 2020 in the case of Agency for International Development versus Alliance for Open Society International that, quote, it is long settled as a matter of American constitutional law that foreign citizens outside the United States territory do not possess rights under the U.S. Constitution. Quote.
Yo, that's wrong. It's a lie. Marjorie, this is a lie. Because President Obama, who was president not that long ago, really, I mean, it's not even really that long ago, to be honest, time's flown. President Obama started the White House petition site, Marjorie. Why do people just ignore this? Why is it out of one ear and in the other ear? Right? Marjorie, Obama ran the White House petitions website under the First Amendment of the United States. And people from America and other countries could register petitions, Marjorie. I registered several petitions on the White House website, We the People, with my name and address and country, nationality, which were published live and ran and collected signatures, Marjorie. And the only way you can petition the American government and have a right to do that, Marjorie, is through the First Amendment. And they were published, ran live, collected signatures. So how is that possible without foreign persons being entitled to the right to do it? Now that has evaporated, disappeared, brushed under the carpet. Another X-Wing fighter down the torpedo tube of the Death Star. So the joke was at the time under the Obama government. And now they're pretending it didn't exist. It's just a memorial, a memory. You can't even search many of the petitions on there. You can't search through them, Marjorie. So this, it's a long-established fact. It's not, Marjorie. And this is why the British courts, the judges, have chosen not to trust the Americans. Because, like Chris Carr, the Attorney General in Atlanta, they're full of complete and total tosh. They're not intellectual. They don't understand the basis. I mean, you know, I'm not going to knock out Robert F. Kennedy Jr., but a lot of them have made quite a bit of a mess of the American Constitution and law, and that's what Robert F. Kennedy Jr. wants to do. He's trying to rebuild it, restore it, the defects and errors that have been caused through to suits, you know, giving lower courts powers to challenge First Amendment rights and literally evaporate them away because people don't really understand them properly. You know, like all these ridiculous copyright suits against political people using things in their material when it's casework exhibit. You know, look, there's a really simple basis, right, how you solve this. In fact, I didn't even know about the federal question law. Federal question is a federal question. It's not a state question. It's a federal question to federal government. Federal government runs under the Constitution. If you can walk into an American court as a foreigner and ask a question, even may I ask a federal question, you can only do that if you've got rights under federal law. If you buy property, in Europe, they've kind of got this in England, if you've got a right, privilege, or interest, if you own property in the area. If you own property in the area, then obviously you've got the right, if you own land, then you can put an application into a local council to build if you own land. If you don't own land, then you haven't got the privilege. But there's the interest as well. It's right, privilege, or interest. Now, if you've got money, you've got the privilege of being able to afford to buy the land, which, you don't have to live in a county to buy a field in a county. Once you own the field, then you can put planning permission in. If you can afford to build something, people put planning permission in and never build anything just for the permission, although you got to apply every 5 years. This is I said this the other week. Someone in Scotland buys a house in Shropshire. Has someone from Scotland, as well as having the right to buy a field in Shropshire and put planning permission in to a local council and civil request, has a person in Scotland who might know that person got a right to put an objection in to the planning application? They both live in Scotland. One's got the privilege of having money to buy a field and land. The other's got an interest in maybe blocking them from doing it because maybe there might be a tree there or something, or an ancient building or something that person might have the privilege of knowing information. That person doesn't like it and he wants to trash it. So they've therefore got an interest in it. Right, privilege, and interest. That 1800s Jurat oath in Kent, in England, clearly states that they will give rights equally to Denzians as much as citizens. You need rights to be able to make an appeal. If you're arrestable, then you've got all the rights and privileges of the criminal procedure rules, because you can't do the criminal procedure rules without them. I can't see how. I don't know the law in America for buying property, but I don't think you have to live in America. I don't think you have to live in America to have a shop in America, because there are loads of big companies in China and Japan where that person doesn't live there, but he buys property. He's interested prospectors looking out for property, right? And if you've got to make legal representations over the matters. And then what happens if you want to raise those up through the courts, higher and higher and higher, because you've got a privilege of having property there, and you can, act to defend it and in the interest of that property through government. But also, it's not just the privilege, it's the interest, If America is going to wage war on the world, I think everyone has an interest in that. And that's where you get the We the People site. Kennedy's called his political party We the People, except not in California. But there's some lacking defect. It's just whatever this decision the court's made that she's referring to. It's long well established. What tosh is tosh? Where do you get this from? Where does it come from? Where do they pull it from? It's like, hey, I'm President Obama. I'm the first, he's, the first, president in history, under a certain group. So, and then he has people bring 5 petitions to him every day, or 10 to read. He asks his staff to bring me 5 petitions every day, or whatever it is, to read in my bedroom. This big thing with the people, and suddenly, oh no, this is, then they don't want it. They want to change their mind then, so they brush it under the carpet. So is Obama going to be prosecuted, or has he got immunity? Because he's about as liable as Trump. If Trump, is guilty of treason or whatever, then surely, if Obama's been giving rights out to foreigners when they didn't have them, oh no, but apparently Trump's is outside of his office time, So, what did Obama do then? Suspend the long-established rules of the Americans is long and well established. the only thing that's long and well established in America is the fact that we invented half the laws over there. William Penn set them all up, and then they drafted up some more papers, and then someone later on wrote a constitution up, cobbled it together from bases of law from England, which already had established meanings, ingredients from, recipes from well-known ingredients. This is the thing. It's American tosh again.